Hello, this is Amy Lilien-Harper, librarian at the Wilton Library and certified Zentangle teacher, here today to do our tangle of the day. Today we're going to do a tangle that is one of the 4 basic tangles that I usually teach when I do a basic first time tile. It is called Printemps, which means spring in French. And I'm going to show you how to do it in just a minute. But before we get started, as always, we always like to start off by taking a few deep breaths and relaxing. So please do that. And also, we want to I'm going to really quickly go over my materials just in case you haven't done this before, although there is more in-depth information about the history of Zentangle and the materials themselves if you watch the first 2 videos I created. So, just so you know, we're working today on a small tile. It's called a bijou. And you see it says bijou right on the back. I like to use the bijou tiles for these videos because I can do them in a fairly short period of time, which means that we have the opportunity to keep it a short program that you can just look at quickly. A regular sized tile is this big, so you can see how much smaller the bijou tile is. And I will be working today, as I normally do, with my Micron 01 pen from Sakura. This is my favorite pen. You can see it says 01 on the top, and you can see it's got a very, very fine point. That's my favorite pen to work with, so make sure you have your pen with you. If you don't have a Micron 01 and you want to work with a Micron PN, that is also perfectly fine. You can see this one has a harder point. This one's good for people who tend to push down, although we do want to try not to do that. And then I also have my Zentangle pencil and my tortillon. This is an unused one, so you can see it's clean at the tip. The one I'm going to actually use has got a little bit of color at the tip. Okay, we're getting ready to start now. Now we normally start off by taking our pencil, and today I will do this, although I haven't done it on every tile I've done here, and we're going to make our corner dots. So I'm going to put a dot in each corner. Because this is a very small tile, I'm going to put them fairly close to the corners so I can maximize most of my space. And you can see as I'm doing this, I'm turning my tile. I am going to now connect those lines so that I have a border. We like to do this because an empty space is a little bit daunting, and we don't want to be daunting when we do Zentangle. It's supposed to be relaxing. And you see that as I did that, again, I moved my tile so that I can keep my hand in the most comfortable position as I was doing it. Okay, so we now have our corner dots and our borders, and I'm going to put my pencil aside and I'm going to get out my Micron 01 and I'm going to get started. Now, this tangle, as I said, is called Printemps, which means spring in French. It's a bit of a play on words. You'll see why in a minute. And I'm going to just start out right in the center here. And there's a variety of ways to do this. So if I can keep this fairly short because it doesn't take very long to create this tangle, I will see if I can show you a couple of ways to enhance your tangling. So I'm going to start off right in the middle of the tile, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to just make a spiral. I'm going to try to keep my pen stable, and I'm going to try to make the spiral kind of consistent. And I'm going to stop here. Now you can close this one in because it's the first one, or you can close them all in, or you can just leave it a little open like that. I'm going to leave it a little open for now. And now I'm going to do another one. And I like to have mine all go kind of the same direction, but that's not a requirement. So I'm going to do another one here. And we talked about drawing behind in some of our other classes. So you're going to see, I'm going to make this one go behind just the tiniest bit. So you see I got to here and I stopped as if it was behind it. Actually, these two kind of look like they're kissing. I'm going to make this next one really go behind. And you can see that I am again moving my tile so that I'm in the most comfortable position. Okay, so now this would go right behind and then continue out right here. And that's it. And you can make them any size you want. Here, I'm going to do a little tiny guy right here. Right here, I'm going to make it nice and small. And now I'm going to make a slightly bigger one over here. And this one's going to go behind a lot because I started nice and close. You do not need to make yours sort of kissing like this the way I do. You can leave space between them, but I like them to be touching. So you see this one's a little bigger, that one's a little smaller. They can be any size you want. I'm going to put another one over here. And I'm going to make this one not go behind as much. I'm going to make it just do that because I want to show you something with it. And then, well, actually, I think I'm going to continue it around, but I can still show you what I was going to show you. And you can see this one went outside of my original border a little bit, and that's fine. All right, I'm going to do another one right over here. This looks like a good spot. You can see I'm just moving nice and slowly. Oh, here's a little squishy spot. I'm going to poke one right in there. And as I said, you don't need to have them all tucked together like this. I just really like them that way. So I always tend to draw them all overlapping like that. All right, I'm going to just keep going until my whole tile is full of these little cute spirals. And I'm making some of them bigger, and I'm making some of them a little smaller, and I'm trying to make them consistent, but they aren't perfectly consistent because we're not perfect, and we're human, and they come out however they come out. And I'm going to put, yeah, it's kind of a big one here, so I left him a little more space so I can make it bigger. Sounds a little bit bigger. And then, oh, this is a little space, so this one's going to be really tucked into this spot. There we go. And now I'm going to put one over here. And now I'm going to have another one in here. And I just keep doing these spirals. And you just want to hold your pen loosely and just keep going around and try to hold your pen nice and comfortably so that you can continue to go around smoothly without getting too uneven or bumpy. But if it does get a little bit uneven or a little bit of a bump in it, that's fine. And as you can see, I am going outside my original border here and there. Printemps is one that especially likes to break out of its space. I find that when I do Printemps, it often does that because of the way it's shaped. And that is totally fine. When we do our Zentangle art, the borders and the strings are always just a suggestion. They're not supposed to constrict or constrain you in any way. They're just supposed to give you a little bit of parameters to help you find your creativity and your zen. But if they are not what you want and they're not helping you with your zen, then ignore them. All right, I think I can squeeze one more little guy right here. And that's it. Okay, so it didn't completely fill, but you can see I filled it up pretty well. All right, now a couple quick things. So that is basic Printemps. That's it, you're done. That's your basic Printemps, nice and easy. Now, I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can enhance it. First of all, you can see, and if you don't squeeze yours in closer the way I do with mine, you can do more of this. But you can see there's like a little spot here where these overlap. And I'm just going to color that in. And like right here too, there's like a little tiny spot there where those two kind of came together and left a little hole. There's one right there. And then this space right here between these two, I'm actually going to color that whole little space in. And let's see, do I have, I tend to squeeze mine in close together, so there's usually not a whole lot of these little spaces to color in when I do this. But in other tangles, I do a lot of this. This particular tangle, I just don't tend to leave a lot of space. But I just wanted to show you could do that. Okay, now I could be done, but I'm going to show you something I like to do to just enhance it a little bit. All right, so you can see my spiral started here. What I'm going to do is on the bottoms of one side, so this direction, I'm going to just add a little bit of extra ink to each one, just a little bit, and thicken that bottom. And you see how that gives it more depth and texture? And I'm just going to go around and I'm going to do that on all of mine. Now you can do this as if you're really good with your pen, you can actually do this by just pushing down a little harder or shifting your pen as you are actually drawing your original spiral, but I have never learned how to do that. I have, Maria can, but I have not been able to do that. But it works just fine to just add it on. And so if you know this is what you want to do, you could actually do this after each spiral. You could go ahead and do it then rather than waiting until the very end to do it. But I wanted to show you the basics before I went ahead and did this. And I have to say that, to be perfectly honest, I usually do this at the end. I don't usually do it as I'm doing my spirals. I tend to go back in and just, Maria calls it adding a little love, but I do tend to do this afterwards. So I'm going to do that, just a few more. Normally I would do this to all of them, but I think you probably get the idea. And I want to show you one other way that I can enhance my printemps. And I'm going to have to start from scratch for that one. So I'm going to do that and then go back and show you how to shade when I'm done, because this is a quicker tangle. So I think I have enough time to go ahead and show you a couple things. All right, so I'm just going to stop with that for the minute, and I'm going to grab a fresh tile, a brand new unused one, and I'm going to really quickly just do my corner dots. And I'm not going to do this tile completely. I'm not going to finish this one. I'm going to just start it so you can see this other piece of styling that you can do for printemps, because I love this other styling too, and it's very different. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add what's called a sparkle. We're going to give it a little highlight. So I'm going to start my tangle just the way I did before. And when I get to like there, I'm going to stop and pick up my pen just for the tiniest bit, almost like my pen just skipped across the page. And I'm going to do that again, and then I'm going to do it one more time. And then I'm going to just stop this spiral. And now I'm going to do another one, and I do really like to try to keep these consistent, especially when I do this, because in this case you're actually sort of using light. And while it is not necessary in tangling to keep your light coming from the same direction, in this particular tangle, it just works best if you've got them consistent. So I'm just going to do that. And what you don't want, which is what I started doing when I first started learning this, is to have your little spaces get bigger and bigger so that you end up with like almost like an arc. You want to try to keep them as consistent as you can. So I'm going to just do a couple more so you can see how that works. So you see how it gives it just a little bit of an extra sort of bit of interest. And I'm going to show you how to shade on both tiles so you can see how doing these things really can enhance. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do about 2 more on this tile. Just do that. You can see I'm overlapping these ones as well. I really do always overlap them. These ones are coming out a little less round and a little more sort of oblong because I'm trying really hard to keep my sparkles consistent. And in doing that, I tend to flatten the circle a little bit, but that's okay. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop there. And honestly, you don't have to fill your whole tile. That could be done. So now I'm going to get out my pencil. I'm going to put my pen aside, and I'm going to show you how to, a way to do some shading on this. And I'm going to give this, now, this one apparently went the opposite direction from these, but because I did this on all of them like this, I'm just going to give this a little bit of extra black right there. And I'm going to give this guy a little bit of extra right there. So got a little messy because I'm rushing, because I don't want to make this, I want to keep this video not too long. Just do a couple more there. Go. Okay. I'm going to cover that next spot there. This spot there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put my pen aside. I'm going to take my pencil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my very first one, which I think was this one. And I'm just going to put a little bit of graphite around the outside of it. And then I'm going to take my tortillon and I'm going to pull that graphite a little bit outside of it so it's on top of the things below it and a little bit inside. And what it's going to do is it's going to start to give it depth. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put some graphite on this one. I'm gonna stop here because this one's over top. So this one gets its graphite there, and this one gets its graphite there, and then this one is on top, so it gets its graphite there. And I'm gonna just do a little bit. And one thing you can do, since I did give it this sort of extra darkness, one option for shading this, I'll show you on this one, would be instead of shading around the whole thing, just shading on the one side. So then you get kind of shade up through there like that. And that gives you kind of a different, like, three-dimensional look. So I'll do this one like that too. So you see I put my graphite just in sort of a little triangle below where I darkened in the first place, and then I kept my shading just on there, and that you can see that gives it a completely different look. So those are two different ways to shade that one. And then on this one, because I did the highlight, I definitely want to shade it on one side and not the other, because the other side is in fact where our highlight is, but I still want to kind of keep, so this one is under. So I'm not going to shade right along this bottom. I'm going to just shade a little bit like along the parts around it. And then this one too, just a little bit there. You don't want to interfere with your sparkle. So I'm going to just put a little bit of shading around the outside. Yeah, I got kind of heavy on the shade. If you have a white graphite pencil, you can do a really cool thing here. You may or may not have a white charcoal pencil, but if you've been doing this for a little while and you do have a white pencil, what you can do here, if I can find a white pencil, so I do have one somewhere. My white pencils have gotten actually I don't have one. My white pencils have gotten extremely small, so they're hard to find. So here's a white pencil. It's in a frame, because that was the one I found first. You can see I'm putting just a little bit of white right in that sparkle to emphasize it even a little bit more. If you do this tangle on a brown tile, it's especially nice to use the white. So there we go. And so you can see now And I did go kind of heavy-handed with my graphite. You don't want to go too heavy because then you lose all your white and there's no contrast. So there is one version of Printemps. And here is another version of Printemps, which actually has two different types of shading. So if you didn't do this darkening, you might want to just do the basic shading that I showed you first. And if you did do this darkening, you might want to go ahead and do this sort of triangular shading, which gives you that kind of cool three-dimensionality. And obviously, I would probably want to shade the rest of this tile, but I'm going to keep it shorter so that you have time, because this is getting a little long. So at this point, you would go ahead and put your chop, your signature, so your initials somewhere on your tile. I'm going to sign this one here. And I'm going to sign this one right here. I think I may leave this tile just like that. Usually, like I said, I do tend to fill my space. I think this one looks kind of neat. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to write out the name of this tangle for you. It is the word printemps, which means spring in French. So that is how you spell it. So it's Printemps. And then at this point, you can go ahead and sign the back of your tile and date it. I'm actually doing this on 4/7/20. And if you want to write a little something about how you're feeling that day, you can. And there you go. So there are two different versions of the Tangle Printemps, and actually three variations on it, because I showed you the basic one and then two different variations. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Keep on tangling.